Hey you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So the first thing, before I even get started on this video, I just wanted to give a disclaimer. Your audio and lighting probably looks 10 times better than it did in the past two videos, and that is because my camera didn't have a microphone, so this audio is really shitty. Also, I was filming those videos at like 3 a.m. and I didn't have like my third little lamp thing to help me because I broke it, so that's why it was shitty. But starting, not from this video because this video is on my iPhone, but starting in future videos, I'll be filming on my camera, but it'll all be great, it'll all be good. So, now let's jump into the story time because I know you guys are like, what the fuck, your mom got fired for sleepwalking? That's literally insane. And I wish I could tell you that shit was clickbait, but unfortunately, it's not. So I want to say Monday around 12 a.m., me and my brother Seth were in the kitchen and we were like talking and laughing because like my stupid ass cousin like got a letter from Harvard, but like she's literally like dumb, like she gets F's, so we like were laughing because we thought she like got catfished, like someone like sent her a Harvard letter, like literally lying to her. That's a whole story in itself. But so we were sitting there laughing about that around 12 a.m. and my mom walks out of the room and I'm like, Mom, come here. Like, I want to tell you this fucking funny ass thing. Like, my cousin's getting catfished by a pretend university that's saying it's Harvard. Hilarious. Well, she's like not replying to me and I'm like, Mom. And she's like messing with the AC. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And my brother Seth is like, Sam, she just can't hear you. So I'm like going, Mom. And she's like not fucking replying me. And I'm like, okay, bitch. Like, I know it's late, but you don't have to be fucking rude. But then she like starts to like stumble into the room, like into the kitchen, you know, and like there was something weird. My mom typically will like shuffle her feet sometimes because she just aches because she's just old, but this was like a weird it was so hard to explain to you guys. It's just like you could tell she was off balance, I should say. Like she was really stumbling almost, and she like stumbles basically into the kitchen. And the first thing she does is she goes into the pantry and she grabs a protein bar. And meanwhile, like, we just kind of gave up talking to her. Me and Seth just keep talking because we, like, figured, like, oh, she's just, like, tired, like, doesn't want to talk. And so she grabs a protein bar and then she walks and she gets a cup of water and she starts drinking and eating. And we're sitting there, like, what's happening? Like, why is she being so weird? And then all of a sudden, she's, like, making eye contact with me. And I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? And this bitch dead ass goes, and I was like, fucking zombie, like I'll cut a bitch, like don't fucking try me, bitch, like what is wrong with you? I have never seen this before, you guys. I don't know if any of you ever seen someone sleepwalking, but I hadn't, so I was fucking scared. Like this bitch was mumbling, weird ass, she was speaking tongues. This bitch was about to possess my ass. I was like, no bitch, you better you better step back, bitch. And so I'm like, oh God, my mom is fucking crazy. And so I'm like, Seth, what do we do? I mean, it was eerie, you guys. It was like, I just kept like looking at her thinking like, is this gonna be my mom when she has like Alzheimer's one day? Like, is this how she's gonna be? Just like jumbling and like fucking stuttering and all this weird ass shit. So I'm like, okay, Seth, I think this bitch is sleepwalking. So I'm like, Mom, and I like try to like have her go sit down, and she like gets all aggressive and she's like, don't touch me, and I'm like, okay, fucking fine. And then she goes and she sits down in a chair and she starts eating the protein bar and drinking her water. Meanwhile, Seth and I are just laughing our asses off, you guys, because this is so fucking funny. Like, she's fucking sleepwalking, and we're trying to, like, ask her questions, and she keeps, like, saying random ass shit, and she doesn't know our names. Like, she keeps, like, saying, like, completely random names, like Jeff, and like, fucking, she called me Richard at one point. That conversation lasted for, I want to say, about, like, 5 minutes, and then we were like, okay, we're gonna go put you to bed, because you're crazy, and it's kind of dangerous that you're fucking awake right now. Like, you guys don't understand, my mom takes a lot of medications. Like, she takes a lot of medication for pain, and she takes a lot of medication for anxiety, depression, bipolar. I mean, she's just like me, basically. But she's actually, like, really medicated, and I'm, like, really not. So, anyway, story time. I'm fucking crazy. So my mom goes into her room, and as she's sitting down, she starts screaming at my little brother who isn't there, and she's like, loud, mouth, and we're like, bitch, you need to pipe down. And so we like get her into bed and we like tuck her in so she's like fucking strapped down, and we're like, okay, whatever. Good night, Mom. And she obviously doesn't reply to us because she barely is coherent, doesn't know what the fuck she's saying. She's literally blacked out. So we're like, okay. And my mom takes sleeping meds. So at this point, I'm like, okay, maybe she just like took too many on accident, whatever. So we leave the room, and I stay up all night, by the way, because I was just like, I couldn't sleep. So I was up all night, and I even journaled in my journal. I was like, my mom was sleepwalking earlier. That's weird. I think everything's fine. I think that's it. Like, she'll wake up in the morning, and it'll be funny to tell her. Because growing up, we used to, like, give her our permission slips and like our detention slips and shit to sign. We used to give them to her right when she was about to fall asleep, because during that like phase in her, like right before she fell asleep, that was when like her sleeping meds had kicked in. So she would sign the papers and not remember in the morning. So she would have no idea that like we got in trouble or anything. So it was really fucking smart. So I figured that same situation had happened, just kind of a lot different in the sense that she wasn't just in bed, she had like gotten up and moved around. So it was weird, but I wasn't like really phased. I was like, whatever, my mom's crazy, I don't care. Well, around like 5 a.m., my dad calls me when he's going to work, and he's like, hey, son, like, you need to go check on your mom. And I was like, why? Like, she was sleepwalking last night, but like, why do I need to check on her? And he goes, I just found her in the garage. I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, I just found her in the garage, like, building something. She, like, had a hammer in her hand. And I was like, nah! Like, what? That was fucking, like, I was laughing, but I was so concerned, too. I was like, what the fuck? Like, she got up again, you guys. Got up again and went into the garage. Like, what a fucking weirdo. I was like, that is so fucking weird. So I immediately run downstairs because he had already left. So I was like, where the fuck is she? And I hear the shower running, and I'm like, oh God. And she should be in bed at this point, guys. Her first day of work was gonna be like a few hours later. So she was up like 4 hours too early, and she was showering. And I was like trying not to look at her titties or whatever, but I'm like, Mom, you need to get out of the shower, like, what are you doing? And she, like, looks me in the eye, and the way she looked at me was, like, both her eyes were, like, in completely different directions, and then she was, like, her eyes were bloodshot red, and she looked at me, and she goes, what's wrong? And I was like, Mom, you look insane right now. I was like, please just go back to bed. And she was like, no! So, she still was fucking sleepwalking. And I'm like, dude, what did you take, man? Like, whatever the fuck you took, give it to me, bitch. Like, I'm trying to get on your level. Like, what? And so she finishes showering, and I have to towel dry my mom. Obviously, I didn't, like, look at her vagina or anything, but, like, I literally had to wrap a towel around my mom because she was so fucking out of it. Like, she was sleep showering, and I was like, ugh. Like, I hate when my mom sleep showers. That's so inconvenient. So, she goes back to bed. I lay her back down for the 5th time. By this point, my sister and my little brother had woken up because they heard us from the other room, like I was talking to her. So at this point, they're already awake and they're already getting ready for school. And my mom is so fucking out of it that I have to get my siblings ready for school because she's still in bed, like, sleeping. Like, she fell back asleep, but she still really wasn't asleep. Like, it was one of those things where, like, her eyes were closed, but you knew, like, if you talked to her, she would open her eyes and talk to you again. So it was just fucking a mess. I had to take care of my sister and little brother, and I get them off to school, and then I wake my mom up, so I'm like, okay, it's time for work. She's like, okay, and she wakes up, everything seems fine. She's wobbling a lot, but I did not think that was an issue. So she was wobbling, and she was kind of being dizzy, so I call my grandma, because I was like, Grandma, like, my mom has to go to work in an hour, and I don't think she's gonna be able to drive. And she's like, okay. So my grandma comes to our house, and my grandma's like, yeah, you're fine, like, and my mom still was kind of out of it, but you could tell, like, she wasn't sleepwalking at this point. So my grandma drives her to work, and I think fucking everything's fine. Like, I did not think there was an issue. I thought everything was good. But then I go to sleep, and when I wake up later that day, my mom is still in bed, I noticed. Like, she must have gone to work and come straight home and went to sleep. So I didn't get to talk to my mom that whole day because as soon as I woke up, she was asleep. And then when I went to bed, she woke up. It was just, you know, like, we 2 different schedules, so whatever. But then the day after that, I got to talk to her. And I was like, hey, Mom, like, do you remember anything from that night? And she was like, no. And I was like, That's insane. Like, you were blacked out. Like, that's freaking crazy. That's fucking crazy. And then she's like, oh, I have a voicemail. And she puts on, like, she turns the voicemail on, and she puts the speaker on so we can all hear it, because it's from her new job. And basically the voicemail was saying that they decided to go with someone else for the job she just got, and that they were gonna let her go. And my mom immediately is like, what? And she was like, wait, I never went to work. She's like, I thought I called out. And I was like, no, Mom, my grandma took you to fucking work. You guys, my mom was blacked out when she was at work. And then they thought she was acting weird, so they sent her home. And my mom didn't remember any of that. So my mom was literally fucking fired because she was sleepwalking at work, but didn't even fucking know it. My mom literally has no idea why she was sleepwalking. So we're like, okay, like maybe bitch, you need to chill on your sleeping pills. So my mom hasn't really been taking them, obviously, because she got fucking fired 3 days ago because of it. I'm so fucking like at a loss for words, you guys. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, my mom just got fucking fired for sleepwalking. And then I was like, story time. Thank you guys for watching. This is a fucking weird-ass random video, but I post every Tuesdays and Fridays, so make sure you subscribe, tell your friends. Thank you so much, and